Redditors that have gone on Tinder dates, what was your worst and weirdest experiences? Met at a coffee shop. She's there early. I order my drink. Sit down. She looks at me and this is her first sentence. Let's cut to the chase. I need a father for my 4 sons. I got up and left. I met a girl for a date who turned out to be much better looking than her photos, which is always a nice surprise. The date went well, just dinner and a walk, and we said our goodbyes. The next day she invited me out to a friend's birthday party downtown as her +1. I wanted to go but I had to work the next day and wanted to be able to drink a little since it was a bunch of people I didn't know. She said that's alright, you can park at my house and sleep over. Charging. So, of course, I said yes. Fast forward to the middle of the party. I'm enjoying myself chatting it up with her friends and having a good time, and next thing I know she absolutely loses it and storms out of the bar, leaving me there, drunk, with her friends. I still have no idea why. One of them told me she wants you to go after her and I said frick that, it's our second date, which not a single person blamed me for. I stayed at the party and switched to water while I continued talking with her friends. That was over a year ago, and I still regularly hang out with them. They have since stopped talking to her. TL. DR. No sex, but got to keep all her friends. 2-date relationship and you got custody, good job. Not me, but my friend went on a really great Tinder date a few months ago. She said they really seemed to hit it off. They got some margaritas, had a fun but very deep conversation about life and other philosophical things, and then made out a little bit. She didn't hear from him the rest of the weekend, which felt odd. BC, she had such a great feeling about him. She usually has a great radar with these things. She ended up stalking him on Facebook to see what he was up to. He killed himself. We went out for drinks, then walked around the park and was an enjoyable date. I took her home and parked next to her apt. She said I shouldn't park there because I'll get towed. I said I only need 3 minutes to walk you to your door. She said seriously, you should park in visitors since you can stay all night and not get towed. I responded that I only need 3 minutes to walk you to your door. I am not a smart man. Thought this was going to end with your car being towed in the 3 minutes, and still thought she was just trying to be helpful until I read it a second time. We went to her place, ate mushrooms and had sex. She was a biter, and it was like having sex with a giant spider. Needless to say I didn't have a great time, and she kicked me out. I sat in my car outside for 2 long hours tripping on mushrooms, trying to come to terms with what felt like dying. Woke up the next morning with large bite marks. Never do mushrooms with strange Tinder girls. Met with a girl who ended up being 16. I was 18 at the time. She told me how on her last date the guy drove her to a secluded area and told her she had to give him head or he won't drive her home, and she asked me not to do that to her. I took her home immediately. Never met another girl online again. Sounds like she's got you beat for worst Tinder story. Hug. Not an awful date, but after I told him I wasn't interested in pursuing it further, he insisted that I left my socks at his place and I had to get them because they look like really nice socks and I'm sure you would want them back. This went on for several days. The modified George Costanza. Almost brilliant but actually pathetic. He showed up with his iPhone on a lanyard around his neck, but he introduced me to Reddit, so I guess it went okay. Lanyard. I know I'm late to the party, but man do I have a doozy. So last year, after getting out of a horrible sort of relationship, I decided to try something casual and use Tinder. Got lots of responses. Everything is going well. The dates were mostly lackluster and I figured I was just being too picky. So I decided the next 5 people to ask me on a date gets a yes. Bad move. So the first guy I'm able to go on a date with wants me to drive into the city 45 minutes away, so we would have more stuff to do. Annoying but sort of understandable as I'm in a suburb without much exciting things to do. We meet. He looks like his pictures. We say hello and he tells me that we're gonna go play soccer in the park. Cool, I love sports. On the way we start talking and asking questions about each other, and I'm getting the vibe we aren't such a great match. I love to travel. He has zero desire. He only likes obscure sports. I love them all. But hey, I'm here. Stick with it. The entire time he talks about how he makes so much money and how embarrassing it is for his friend to only make 60k a year at his dream job. I make half of that. I would have left considering the love connection, or lack thereof, but I figured I'd be polite until after lunch. We head out and we arrive. Dollar Taco. Which, don't get me wrong, you don't have to splurge. But he looked me up and down and said you gotta earn your meals first and gave me a creepy freaking smile. Nope. I feign a fake phone call and have to leave, but he insists on walking me to my car. We get there, and I try to shrug him off and GTFO, but then, it happens. He leans in for a kiss, but not just any kiss. Open mouth, tongue out, and as he leans in, his crotch brushes against my leg. Unfortunately for him, the soccer shorts didn't conceal his raging hard-on. So I did what any caught off guard girl would do. I accidentally laughed in his mouth. Oops, I was too awkward to say anything and just got in the car, driving away. That's the outcome he deserves, TBH. Actually, that's probably the best outcome possible. Unexpected laughter and then driving away, never to be heard from again. Friend from class matched with my then girlfriend, now ex. He informed me of the match and proceeded to set up a coffee date. Instead of him showing up to the date, I did. I had the pleasure of watching my girlfriend freak the frick out. Met up for a coffee after having quite a nice chat over Tinder for a few days. He sits down and says, "Hey, nice to meet you," then continues to pull out his laptop and sit there in complete silence for the next hour. I had nothing with me but my phone, since I thought coffee date means conversation. Should have left sooner. Hope I am not too late to this party. I went on a date with this guy who I thought was pretty level-headed. We had dinner, coffee and said our goodbyes. On the date, they consistently spoke about Michigan. Michigan is better than Chicago this way. The people in Michigan are so much nicer than the ones from your home state. We are the smartest in the nation, etc. 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 The only times they broke away from the subject of Michigan was to talk about how inadequate I was with my career, health and love life. They even said, "I can tell you are trying to be funny, but it's not working." Later that night, once they dropped me off, they went on to text me saying, "Hey, I enjoyed our time together, but you're a bit wider than I was expecting." I understood his comment and decided not to reply back. 20 minutes later, I receive other texts from him saying, "It's okay, though, I would love for you to get bigger. I want to help you gain as much weight as possible. I love dating fat people." To top it off, his last text was, "You'll need all that fat when you move to Michigan. Frick you, Michigan." Edit. Grammar. Whoa, what's worse? My grammar on allergy medication or my lack of noticing my grammar on caffeine? Edit again. The date found out about this post and we talked it out. After talking with them, we have reached an understanding to both sides of the story. I wasn't expecting Reddit to give me closure about a date months later. Yay for a satisfying ending. Met one charmer after talking for a few weeks. After agreeing to meet at a nearby coffee shop, I show up right on time. 10 minutes later I get a text from him to come outside. Seems sketchy, but there's people about, so why not? I stand directly in front and he appears out of nowhere in a hoodie. We walk a bit before he asks me to walk down a darkly lit street. I say I'm uncomfortable and he immediately starts waking away. I assume he's joking and call him only to hear him screaming at me on the other end. He sends me a text a couple of days later insulting my hair and telling me to suck my big dong unigress B. TL. DR. Guy wanted to dama me, then proceeded to call me racist slurs. Thank you, internet. Yeah, that sounds like it could have gone so much worse than it did. Glad you made it out alive. I got matched with a friend of mine I was really interested in and everything was really cool. We ended up dating for a couple months after the first night we spent together. Then she slept with one of my best friends. That wasn't really cool. If you wanna be my lover, you gotta get with my friends. Albert E. Roosevelt. My first date with this guy would have been his cat's funeral. Luckily I had the common sense not to take it that far. I had matched with a guy and we began to be hitting it off, so I gave him my cell number, and of course he became increasingly strange. He was telling me about his cat and how he was worried about her because she was very ill. Okay, I understand having a sick pet is sad. Then he began to tell me about their relationship and how she was always there for him. Yup, I'm close to my animals too, that's fine. But then he began discussing how he doesn't know what to do if his cat dies. How he might kill himself unless I would be willing to take his cat's place. No. After that I stopped talking to him. He then started messaging me furiously. He told me how his cat died and he needs me to talk him through this. I express my condolences and try to shake him off. He then proceeds to explain how we should meet at his cat's funeral. I don't respond. I didn't intend on becoming a skin suit anytime soon. His last text to me was an angry ramble describing in graphic detail how it was to eat his cat's ashes. He consumed his cat. What the actual frick? 1. Tinder nightmare. Went on the date. 5 minutes into the conversation he flips it to 9/11 conspiracy theories and doesn't drop it even after I explicitly state that the conversation is inappropriate. Told him later by text that I didn't think we were that compatible. Cue 2 months of 3 AM phone calls where he pretends to be a furniture renovation company that had problems delivering my order. 2. When I was someone's Tinder nightmare. Got way too drunk. Puked on myself. A total blackout. The fact that someone rationalized phoning at 3 AM, pretending to be a furniture company makes me laugh. First date is going well. She's way out of my league and seems very much into me. Later, we're back at my place. After dinner and making out on the couch a little, we head into the bedroom and the clothes are coming off. Just as I'm about to slip it in, she says, "Wait, what? You should know. I have herpes." Very funny. No, I really do. And I'm in the middle of an outbreak. You're joking. I'm not. Do you need a minute? Being fairly herpes naive, I reply. Yup. I go out to my porch and sit down on a chair. After a minute, I can hear her crying in my bedroom. She dresses and comes out. She asks me if I need time to think. I tell her that I do. We talk a little about other things. I drive her home and then spend the weekend completely torn up, weighing my options. Is she worth getting herpes over? You've only known her for 6 hours. Ultimately, I go out with her a few more times and it turns out, not only does she have the herpes, but she's bat crap crazy. I dumped her. She tries to kill herself. Another hilarious story in and of itself, and I test negative for herpes. Back to the drawing board. You have to give her a little bit of credit for telling you. We went on 3 or 4 dates. I, 30, was starting to get feelings and like this girl, 25. On our 4th date, she asked if I could watch her cat while she was moving apartments. I am not a fan of cats, sorry Reddit, but I am a nice guy and kept the cat in my home office. Long story short, she doesn't answer her phone for over a week and only picks up her cat when I send a message saying it's going to the local shelter within 24 hours. Freaking Tinder. Matched with this guy. We talked for a little bit, and we didn't really seem to have anything in common, so I didn't plan on going out with him. When I finally did decline, he threw a fit and pestered me, promising a lovely night out and to just give him a chance. That should have been my first clue. Now, at this point in my life, I was admittedly very picky about guys I'd go out with, and this guy as well as my roommates encouraged me to just go because maybe I'm missing out on nice people. Fine. We go to sushi. No attraction. Nothing in common. Horrible conversation. Every time I tried to lead with a subject, he ended it. What's your favorite restaurant? I don't know. Did you play any sports? No, the conversation was a dead end at every turn. Had a terrible time. Good sushi though. I insisted I pay half the bill, and we walked out. Then he grabbed me by the arm aggressively, insisting we go to Starbucks for coffee. I said no thank you. I just ate. I'm very full. I have a test tomorrow. Whatever. But he literally overpowered me and pulled me in and sat us down at a table. Now I was freaked out. We sat awkwardly, silently. I asked, "Are you getting coffee?" Or he smiled and said, "No, I don't want any." I said, "Okay, so why are we here?" And he slipped his hand between my thighs and credit carded me under the table. I was mortified and moved away. I said I am going to go home now. I thank God I drove separately. As I got to my car, he asked, "So when can we go out again?" I almost laughed at him, but I was polite because I'm a huge P. I said, well, you're very nice, Leary, but we don't have much in common and I didn't really feel the chemistry, but thanks for showing me a new sushi restore. You freaking see. You're just the same as all women. Either you were different. You dumb bimbo piece of crap. Frick you. I got in my car and left. When I got home I had many texts from him and his roommate. From date guy, I got a lot of frick you, and from the roommate I got a few angry concerned ones like my roommate came home really upset and P. What the frick did you do to him? You'll be. I literally had no idea people could be like that. It really soured my Tinder experience, but I had fun laughing at the texts with my own roommates. What a massive piece of crap. People like that deserve to be alone, honestly. We went on 3 dates. The next time she asked to see me, I told her I was visiting family and wouldn't be available until the following weekend. In that moment, she freaked out and sent me a 7-page long text about how I destroyed what could have been a perfect relationship and that she wanted to marry me still if I would just put her first. She then left me a voicemail of her singing "You Got It Bad" by Usher while crying and saying she loved me over and over. 2 days later she sent me pictures of her burning a bucket list she had made for us. Glad I got out of that one unscathed. I meet a girl on Tinder. I think I won her over with my jokes about loving dirty socks and old Greg. We talk for a while and finally decide to go to a lake. We both love nature. We go, meet, hug, and sit down on a blanket by the lake. We talk for a bit. After about 10 minutes, I hear a splat. She looks down and laughs. I look down at her leg. There, sitting there on her right leg, is a big, white, pebbly bird crap. I ask, "Did a bird just crap on your leg?" She says, "Yes," and laughs again. Before the date we promised no bulls. We must be ourselves. I don't think before I catch myself wiping the bird crap off her leg with my hand. I go to the lake, wash my hand off, and go sit back down. We have a little laugh, talk for another couple hours, and decide to call it a night. We go back to our cars and I go to give her the goodbye. I wasn't sure if I should give her a hug or kiss at this point. I didn't want to be invasive. As I'm hugging her and thinking about the kiss, I start to get a boner. I start to regret the decision to wear athletic shorts. I think I have 2 options. 1. Turn around after the hug and walk back to my car. 2. Try to conspicuously tuck the boner into my waistline of my athletic shorts and go for the kiss. I go for option 3. I'm getting a boner. I can't keep hugging you. We laugh. I hug her again and say, "I'll talk to you soon." We promised we'd be honest, but on my way back to my car I just keep thinking, crap, too honest, too honest. I turn on my car and wait to see if she's going to leave first. Then she gets out of her car and walks towards me with something in her hands. I roll down my window. "You forgot the banana bread I made you." I couldn't believe I made her come back to the awkwardness to make her give me the banana bread she made for me. I take it from her. We both still laugh a bit about the boner thing, and I put the banana bread on my passenger seat. Then, and this is the part I still can't believe, she leans in. We kiss. A gentle, small, but amazing kiss. She walks back to her car and drives away. I do a couple fist pumps and then drive home. On my way home, I start to question what the frick just happened. So much about myself to doubt, but so much greatness to it. What just happened? I'm driving home and Bohemian Rhapsody comes on. I have a Wayne's World moment. I will not let you go. Fast forward 3 months. We're still talking. I saw her tonight. We went to a creek again. We have gotten poison ivy from each other, been camping, shared great music. It has all been so great. I don't ever want to leave her. When we look back, she says I won her over when I wiped the bird crap off her leg. Needless to say, that bird was my wingman. This is a beautiful story. Recently met this guy on Tinder and been on 3 dates with him. First date went really well until his car got towed. Second date went to his place, got drunk and banged, ended up with condom inside. Proceed to freak the frick out and had to go to a third date. He got me high for the first time, got way too high, freak out again and start pinching his nipple really hard and speaking Thai. He added me on FB after that. 8/10 would go on date again. Went to see 50 Shades of Grey, got a blowy in the parking lot, got caught by a security guard on a Segway, ended up with chlamydia. I no longer Tinder. Not me, but a buddy of mine shacked up with a chick he met through Tinder. The following day he regaled us with the tale of the insane sex he had the night before with her with great detail. Fast forward a week, he now has herpes. Bragging just makes you a sore winner. I once went on a date with a woman who claimed she hadn't smoked weed since like 8th grade, because once she started getting into coke what was the point, but now she was smoking to help with the nausea because her shrinks put her on lithium. Was a lot of info for the third sentence of a date. Already mentioned it in another thread with a similar question, but I had a date with this guy who apparently didn't have the guts to approach me and ask me something along the lines of "Hey, are you name?" Instead, he took a picture of me from afar and sent it to me via Messenger, asking if I'm the person in that pic. After reading some stories about people not recognizing their date from their profile pictures, I don't hold it against him. Only ever went out with one guy I met on Tinder. He was a very popular hipster rich kid that didn't want to be rich dude, and I'm a borderline hood Latina that grew up in a rough neighborhood. I didn't think we'd hit it off but gave it a shot because he looked like Robert Downey Jr. with lots of tattoos. We ended up having a ton of similar interests and one date became two became 3, and 1 month turned into 3 months. Eventually we broke up because he decided to take a job playing his guitar that would let him travel the world. Cue 6 months of weird, but sweet and sappy, and sporadic, love letters, texts, and calls from different locations all over the world. We both ended up moving on with other people, but we still randomly like each other's photos on Instagram and talk very occasionally. His band is playing at Lollapalooza, and he's doing very well for himself. It was the most random, but interesting and only Tinder experience ever. Been on a few Tinder dates, most have been surprisingly decent. The only negative experience I've had so far is a girl who, since briefly texting and realizing we weren't compatible, has just texted me hey just about every day since. I haven't replied for over 3 months. Should block the number already. You may want to try farmersonly.com next time to ensure compatibility. She tried to sell me insurance over dinner. She had a full pitch prepared and even insulted me for choosing my current provider. I split the check and then they split. Everything seemed normal until about 45 minutes in when she decided to tell me all about the time she was kidnapped and all the associated lingering psychological issues still present. Within the first hour of meeting, I remind you, went on a date with a woman to a pub where, during the conversation we had, she wanted to take a picture of my driver's license to send and show to her sister via text. 2 minutes later, the woman brought up my DUI I had 5 years ago. Her sister did a criminal background check on me 1.5 hours into the date. Right, so I was in Shanghai for work and decided to see what was happening on Tinder. I had to use a VPN to get around the Great Firewall. Anyway, matched with a girl and chatted briefly. She asked if I wanted to meet at her hotel for a drink. Alarm bells should have been ringing willy, so I shower up, pop a breath mint, and smash out a Lucky Panda cigarette whilst flagging down a cab. I get to her hotel and to my astonishment, she is the woman in the profile, waiting for me at the hotel bar. Have a few cocktails and things are going well. She's friendly, seems really into me. Then she asks if I want to go up to her room for some more drinks. Dear diary, jackpot. So we make our way upstairs and she doesn't waste any time and jumps straight in. When all was said and done I thought right, time to do the Shanghai shuffle, so I'm putting my clothes on and about to leave and she weighs what about my money baby. My heart sinks quicker than a mob snitch swimming in concrete boots. I ask her what she means. Not for free sex. 3,000 RMB she replies, which is just shy of $500. Frick me, I just rooted a H. So a heated argument begins and I'm planning my escape lest there be a pimp waiting outside. She starts screaming at me and hotel security arrive on the scene and hustle me down to the lobby. She follows in tow demanding her money, screaming, yelling, making a scene. Everyone's looking. I've really hit rock bottom here. Then I see someone get out of a cab outside the hotel entrance. I gap it and leap into the cab, telling the driver to drive in the worst Chinese possible. I probably said something offensive, but the power of the almighty Ewan saves the day and he speeds off, taking me back to my hotel where I can't hit a bottle of scotch and reflect on what the actual frick just happened. TLDR. I shoplifted H in Shanghai. You Shanghaied H. Oh god. I have had several awkward Tinder dates. The worst was this guy who was 23 and had pretty much grown up on the computer. Usually don't mind guys having a gaming hobby. Any hobby is great as it shows you have a passion for something. But it should be a hobby, it shouldn't rule your life. Anyway, I offered to meet him at the uni we both attended to grab a coffee, but he insisted on going to the local shopping complex despite the fact that he didn't drive. No idea how he got there. He ended up being around 30 minutes late. Okay, I can deal with that. When we finally meet, he's so nervous he's shaking like a chihuahua and barely able to speak. I get it. First dates can be nerve-wracking. We sit down to sushi and there is absolute dead silence. I start asking him questions to start the conversation, but all I get is 2-word replies. Right. This is getting a bit more frustrating. I even ask him questions about what games he likes. I do know a bit about games, but all I get is condescending answers. I'm starting to feel more like an interrogator than a date. Suddenly he perks up and goes, UHH, I have to go. There's a LAN party on. Okay mate, you're not feeling comfortable on this date, that's fine. Even though you suggested it and you were so confident online. So we part ways. The kicker comes about 4:30 AM the next morning. I'm working an overnight shift at Mucus and this group of guys come in. Chihuahua boys in the group, being a whole lot more confident. I get it. It's easier being social with friends. They walk in talking about B and how freaking fake gamer B ruined their LAN party. I wish I was making this up. He goes to order and doesn't realize it's me. They leave a huge mess behind. I'm talking purposely smearing ice cream on the table and chairs plus more because it's the employee's job to clean up. The next afternoon I get a message from him asking if I'd like to meet up with him again. I politely said no. He called me a fat bee. Never saw him again. The worst part is that you clearly were giving him a shot and he just didn't give a frick. I don't get it. I'd get really nervous in his position as well, but at least be dang polite and speak with the girl. Best bet, the guy got scared something more could happen and just made the date as awful as possible, and then regretted it while falling asleep. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.